If you're in an employee position, probably the best thing you could do is not ask your boss for coffee. The best thing you could do is, I love that Cal Newport Steve Martin line, like, just become so good they can't ignore you, so they want to have coffee with you. They go, what the heck are you doing? Because we have this other agenda, by the way, of smuggling proactive mental health into the workplace. That's a whole other
We're going to talk about that. I promise. It's important.
Yeah, I believe you. I no problem. But it's kind of a Trojan horse, because really it is about aspiration first, but then they get a better headspace in the process. But the reason we hire therapists is because they have a real high capacity to empathetically listen to someone and get them just more clear on who they are, how are they wired, and how did their family of origin affect who they are, and sort of thing. But if you don't have therapists in house, if you don't like that TV show Billions, if you don't have a Wendy in your staff, then what you need to do is just sit down and listen. Like, get really curious with your people. And it's hard to justify that, right? But it's amazingly simple. Just like if you initiate a simple habit in your life, like, I'm going to start exercising every day, pick one employee to meet with for 30 minutes for a coffee every day, and start the cycle. And just make it your goal to learn something new about the person. If that's all you did, you will create a radically better culture. But you don't have to stop there. There's so much further you can go, because as you begin to understand, like, what are the unique attributes, I love it. The story I was going to mention is, I love it when people hire somebody for one job and they drill down and they have a conversation and they discover something about them that they didn't even know existed. So there's this church locally, a friend of mine, Todd, it was a big church, thousands of people came all the time, and he had coffee with his IT guy. And the reason he had coffee with the IT guy, because he looked over at lunch and he noticed that the guy was reading a Hebrew text. And in the Christian tradition, Hebrew is a big deal because it comes to the Judeo-Christian. And he was like, why would the IT guy be reading a Hebrew Bible? And turns out he's like this amazing exegete. And he went from like IT guy to teaching pastor to thousands.
Wow.
And it was just such a cool deal where it's like, if you don't ask, you don't know. And most people don't care enough to ask. But when you do, man, you will not believe what you discover. And if you don't discover anything for your own benefit, at the very least, that person, it's just going to feel like $1 million. Someone cared enough to notice. And in a world where it's nothing but news feeds and no one is noticing, man, that is like one of the most rarest, kindest, most generous acts you could have especially as a business owner. And I don't know, I want to be the kind of guy that people look back on and they go, that guy made a mark in my life. Who doesn't want that? But it takes some effort, very little effort, but it takes some effort to do it.
So it's funny because as I was, talking about your bio and it said performance coaching, the first thing that came to my mind was Wendy Rhodes, and being like, everyone needs a Wendy Rhodes in their life. And I truly believe that that's one of my favorite characters on any TV show, and something that I wish I had full-time access to myself is a Wendy Rhodes. You talk about listening to your employees. I think it's not only important because it's the right thing to do, but also their motivations change. Totally. Right? A 20-year-old employee's motivations to make money and work just hard to make the money changes the second they get married or have their first kid. My attitude changed from, before I was married to having two little kids. Everything changes. So it's important to listen. So I want to be strategic in this question, if I can. For the listeners that are listening, you have business owners and you have employees. How do you start the dialogue? How does a business, let's frame it this way. One, how does a business owner start implementing that open door policy of let me speak to every single one of my employees when they haven't been doing it before? So it's not some weird, what's this guy doing type of thing? Like, oh, why is he asking me what my dreams are all of a sudden? This guy didn't care for 10 years and all of a sudden he cares. Yeah. And if you're an employee, how do you bring this up in the workplace? How do you sit there and have that conversation with your boss if they're not having it with you?
Yeah. I think if you're in a let me answer it in reverse. So if you're in an employee position, probably the best thing you could do is not ask your boss for coffee. The best thing you could do is, I love that Cal Newport Steve Martin line, like, just become so good they can't ignore you, so they want to have coffee with you. They go, what the heck are you doing that you're so good? Like, you have a job to do. Don't miss it. If you're going to work to try to get advice from your boss or whatever, like, that's called a college. Like, you pay to go there. You don't get paid. So do a great job if you're in that position. But if you're in that boss position and you've actually, or manager or whatever, just understand from the get-go, you trade primarily, the trade isn't money for talent. The trade is relational trust. You're trading in relational trust. And how do you build relational trust? You vulnerably lead. So what that looks like is if I didn't care enough about my employees to know their name for 10 years, first thing I do is I have a staff meeting and I go, hey, guess what, guys? I have been leading in such a way where I don't even know your name. And that's embarrassing. And not only is it embarrassing, it's just plain wrong. And I've decided it's not going to be a massive effort. It's a little effort, but I've decided that I want to get to know you people. You guys have given your blood, sweat, and tears to this place. And it would be such an honor. Just forget my interests in the company. I want to get to know you and your interests. Can we have coffee? 30 minutes. I'm coming to you and I'm buying, and I'm going to pay you to have coffee with me. So that's happening. Tuesday from 1 to 1:30, I'm coming to your office. Would you like your coffee black? Like, simple, not complicated. But notice that first part of just how does everyone respond when people get honest? Everyone already knows the guy didn't care about them. But the moment he opens that vulnerability, all of a sudden he set the table for the conversation where he wants the employee to be vulnerable. Now he might be.
Hey, everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. If you want, check out our most recent video over here. And this one is the one YouTube thinks you'll like. But if you really enjoyed watching, please do me a favor, like and subscribe over here. Thank you so much.